Okay, we are recording. Now, as the crow caws outside, I'm doing my little sneak around here. You can see my cute little cherry top that is technically a pajama top that I'm wearing. It's so soft and cozy. I like it as a light, long-sleeved layer, good for a spring day like today. I am going to now gently pick up my headphones. They will probably creak a little bit, but that's okay. I'll get myself situated here. I've decided to have the mic cover on since I don't do that a lot. These days I've been usually doing things without the mic cover, so that sounds nice. And now that I'm settled here a bit, I will say to you, hey there, welcome back. Today we are doing another little session of unedited ASMR. And today I am really living boldly and living on the edge because I have my window open because it is very warm and nice today. It is actually feeling quite springy. And so I wanted to have the window open so you can hear the nice bird sounds and outdoor sounds, but we may get some other outdoor rumbles and such, so if we do, we'll just work with that. Fortunately, we are in the period of the year now where it's warm and springy, but it's not quite yet to lawnmower season. So that is a good thing. That is something in the summer I have to be aware about and keep an eye out for, is when my neighbors start mowing their lawns, but that's okay. Something that we can adapt to. So I decided to bring along this time just a random mishmash of some trigger items. This is an eye pillow. An eye pillow, which I like to use to, make things extra dark at night. And even though this has a flannelly cover, which is nice and cozy, I actually use this in the summer a lot because I put it in the freezer and it gets really cold. And then when I am having one of my warm moments, which I have at this phase in my life, I go get this and put it like on my forehead or sometimes on the back of my neck or something, and it's very soothing. So this is going to be a nice long ramble that you can use to fall asleep to, as a kind of talking you to sleep kind of thing. I am going to be sharing some channel updates and some personal updates as I go along, but nothing critical, nothing earth-shattering, so if you fall asleep at any time, that is fine. And I did write a few notes over here on my notebook, just to, remember things I might want to talk about. If I draw a blank and run out of things to say, which usually doesn't happen for me, I can usually ramble pretty continuously. And the first thing that I wanted to say, this is kind of funny, but I wanted to say, I don't know, how can I wanted to give a little, like, ha 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 ha, buoy on you to YouTube AI. You all may have noticed that, I don't know, I feel like YouTube's really, like, hitting it hard with the AI and trying to have AI features all over the platform now in all sorts of ways. That you can now have AI summarize a video for you, which, I mean, I get it. If you're watching a how-to video or something, it might be nice to have a summary of, you know, what you were learning or something, but I don't know. It just kind of makes me sad because it makes me feel like, oh, you know, people put a lot of effort into videos and then you can just, you know, read the summary instead and not even watch the video. I don't know. That's the little cynical part of me. I'm sure there are good uses for it. But another thing for creators is now not only do we get suggested AI-generated replies to comments that, as a creator, I could use to reply to your comments, which I don't use. So again, I want to reiterate that anytime, oh, is that the train? I think that might be the train in the distance. Anytime you comment on one of my videos and I reply to you, it is really me. That is not an AI-generated comment. I actually read your comments and took the time to write something back to you. Pretty sure that's the train. And I always say that if I ever truly get to a point where I don't have the time or the resource to reply to all of my comments, then that will be what it is. I'm not going to rely on a robot to do it for me, because authenticity and genuine connection is a big part of this channel to me, and I don't want you to be, I don't know, if you take the time to write me a comment, I don't want you to be getting some canned reply that I did not actually write. So please know that. But it's just funny because YouTube is now offering creators like AI insights on your videos. So it will give you suggestions of like how you could record, how you could improve your videos, based on like when did people drop off from watching, what were the most, you know, the most popular parts of the video that people came back to, whatever. And I feel like for ASMR, they're just particularly kind of funny, and I basically have turned it now, I have adjusted it now so I don't have to see those, and I think I'm pretty much going to not pay attention to them. But the reason I brought it up is because the last time I did an unedited video like this, it suggested that I basically shouldn't do what I did with turning on the camera and then coming around and sitting down, because it was basically like, that's dead time at the beginning of your video and that could cause people to click away. And then in another one of my ramble videos where I was drinking a cup of tea, and early on within the first couple minutes of the video I paused and told you what kind of tea that I was drinking, and was tapping on the mug and talked about the tea for a little bit, and the AI was like, you shouldn't have gone off topic and talked about your tea because that distracts from the main point of your video, and you lost some people at that point. And I'm like, hey, if I'm losing people by talking about my tea, then that's okay. Then, those people might be better served by watching a different video, because rambling and making things really organic and conversational to me that's really my whole thing with ASMR and my whole theme. So I just feel like, some of the suggestions that might make sense for other videos don't make as much sense with AI. And so all this just to say that I wanted to re-emphasize to you my intention to keep this channel as, simple and uncomplicated, and, as much about person-to-person connection as it can possibly be. I mean, obviously this is a video, and I'm using an online platform to share it with you, and I, really appreciate that YouTube is there. This smells really good. It smells like lilac. See, the AI would probably be like, don't get distracted, don't tell them what it smells like. But it smells really nice. Lavender, I meant. Actually, not lilac. Lavender. See, the distractions are what makes it fun. Here, should I put this over your eyes for a minute? Let's put it over your eyes for a minute. There, that can just give your eyes a rest for a moment. And And exhale. Yeah, and have that nice little bit of lavender smell and relaxation. Okay, I'll take it away in 3, 2, 1. See, that's what I love about ASMR. A little bit of everything and a little bit random. So I kind of today, when I was thinking about what I wanted to do, I was like, you know what? I'm going to stick it to you, AI, and I'm going to do another unedited video, and it's going to be as random as I want it to be. And my people out there who, my quiet comfort people out there who love what we do here and appreciate my kind of content will be here for it. They'll be here for it. So, let me see. I wanted to make it a point. Maybe I'll pick up something different from this eye pillow. I also brought my kitty cat scrubber, the kitty cat scrubber, which I think makes such a nice sound. I mean, I can do it kind of harder and make a stronger scratching sound with this. But I like the little delicate sounds it can make. And I really wanted to say thank you to you all for your really kind responses. I mean, I get such kind comments from you all the time, and it really means a lot to me when you tell me how you're using my videos or how they're benefiting you. That means so much to me and really helps me to know that what I'm doing here has a purpose and is making a difference and gives me a real sense of self-worth, so I appreciate that, and it just brings me such joy that I can be of assistance to you in your life, that I can be a companion to you in whatever you might have going on in your life, or what might be challenging you, or places you might need support. And it especially meant a lot to me after my last unedited video, when a lot of you really came to my defense when I had mentioned someone who had made an unkind comment about my mouth sounds when I whisper. And so many of you were like, oh my gosh, I love your mouth sounds. I love how you sound when you whisper. That's the whole reason I like your channel. You're great. You know, like, you all were so kind. You know, and you were basically like, don't let the meanies get you down. And really, most of the time I don't. And I get so few comments like that on my channel. It actually astounds me because, you know, the internet can be kind of an unkind place. And I think it's partially the beauty of the ASMR community and how kind people are who are seeking out these types of videos. I think we're a special group of people here. And, you know, people who just really want to support each other and want to keep up the container of the ASMR space being safe and supportive, and so I really appreciate that. And so I hardly ever get unkind comments, and when I do, you know, most of the time I am pretty good at just letting them roll off my back. And I will share this with you, that this was a little while ago. I got a comment from someone who was like, why are you doing ASMR? I hate to tell you this, but I think you're a little old to be doing it. And that actually cracked me up. I thought that was so funny. I was like, okay, alright, fine. I mean, admittedly, I think that if you look at ASMR creators across the board as a group, it does skew young. I think there's no doubt about that. But there are absolutely ASMR creators of all ages who are doing very well and who are enjoyed by others. And I just kind of thought, like, what do you think you're accomplishing by telling me that? Do you think I'm actually going to listen to that comment and be like, oh, this person is right, I am too old, I should cease immediately? And I mean, you all know, you know, whatever, I'm not 20 years old or 25 years old. I am 46 years old. I will 47 years old next month, and I'm in May, not quite in 2 months, a little more than whatever. I'll be 47 in May. And I'm actually really excited because I love the number 47, like numerologically. I think it's a great number, and I think it's going to be a really good year for me. But it's like, yeah, dude, I'm in my 40s. I'm, knocking on 50, and that's fine. I'm happy with where I am. I don't want to be any younger than I am. And, I understand some people might only want to look at young people. They may not want to look at a face like mine that, has seen a little bit more of life and has some lines on it that shows that I have smiled and that my eyes have, had expression and that I have experienced things and, had feelings and had reactions and been through things in my life. I think that's fine. And I actually, that's one thing about myself that, I do have confidence in. I think I am a perfectly fine looking person. I think I have nice features. I think I have nice eyes. I think I am pleasant to look at, and I don't think I am causing anyone, any misfortune by putting my face in front of the camera. And, of course with ASMR, whatever, 9 times out of 10, you're probably not looking at me anyway, right? You probably have your eyes closed. So anyway, just all that to say that that person who was trying to discourage me utterly failed. And, when I do get comments like that, that just, if I get a comment that I don't want to reply to, that I don't see the need to reply to, or can't come up with or a comment that I just, don't think is worthy of a reply, I usually just delete those comments, because then if I don't delete it, it'll keep showing up in my list of unreplied comments, which I do keep an eye on because I like to reply to all of you whenever I can. But before I could even delete that one, like 2 or 3 of you replied to it and basically like put that person in their place, and they were like, someone was like, aren't you a little old to be, basically like, aren't you a little old to be being mean to people? And I thought it was great. So you all are amazing for coming to my defense. And I really appreciate that about all of you. But it is hard, it is hard. And so I just want to encourage you, if you are doing anything right now where you're putting yourself out in the world, I understand that it is hard, to get criticism from people. And, something I've often heard said that I think is true is to not give any credit to criticism that comes from someone that you wouldn't ask for advice, or that you wouldn't take advice from. If it's just some random person who, you don't have any connection to, and isn't someone who's knowledgeable, about what you're doing or anything like that, and they're just giving you a criticism, then, what good is that really, and why should you consider it? It can be helpful to get constructive criticism from people that you respect and people whose opinions you do value, and I always value from all of you. I mean, if you have suggestions about things you would like to see me do, or things that, you think I could, that I could adjust, or ways that this channel could better serve you, then I certainly want to hear those. But anyone who's just like, you shouldn't do this, I don't like you, like, whatever. I'm not going to worry about that. So, thank you all for being so kind. Thank you for standing up for me and, coming to my aid when I need you, just like I like to do for you. And I did want to mention the video that I did recently of fighting your inner critic. That was so much fun. That was an idea I've had for ages. Thanks again to ASMR Eliza for her inspiration for that idea, from her fighting your ADHD video, which she did years ago. Things are a little rumbly here with the windows open, and the wind. I forgot to mention the skylight is also open. But I really had fun doing that. I really had fun standing up for you and telling those voices of yours to get out of town. So I will reiterate that now. Any voices that tell you that you are too much, or you are not right, or what you are expressing, is not going to be appreciated, that's not true, because whatever it is you're creating will find the audience that is looking for it. If anything, that's something that ASMR has taught me. And you all were also so sweet, when I had expressed towards the end of that video that it is a little, it's a little, hard sometimes not to compare yourself to others. And, for me sometimes, not often, but once in a while, to be like, oh, why are other people's channels, so much more popular than mine? Why do other channels have so many more subscribers and so many more views? Like, what am I doing wrong? What am I not doing enough of? But, there's a lot of mystery to the YouTube algorithm, so who knows about that. But you all were just so encouraging to me about that. And I've often said that I think if if YouTube didn't display the numbers, like if I couldn't see how many subscribers any of the other channels had, I'm sure that I would think me having 6.8 or whatever I have right now, getting close to 7, I'm sure, my cord's a little bit in the way here, I am sure that I would think that that was like tremendous and huge and like, oh my gosh, 6,000 subscribers. But just because I know other people have, hundreds of thousands or whatever, it makes it seem like less. But if I didn't have that to compare it to, I would be thrilled. And so that's just a lesson that I try to think about in other areas of life. And I encourage you to think about in your life, like, in what areas are you maybe comparing yourself to other people? And if you couldn't do that, like if you didn't know what that person had or what they were doing, like, would it even bother you? And let's be honest, that a lot of times when we're comparing ourselves to other people, we don't really know what they have or what they're doing or what they're feeling, We may, especially, when it comes to like social media and things like that, but even with people in real life, I mean, you are probably only seeing a portion of what someone has going on. So if you're like, I'm not as good as that person, like, you don't know everything that they have going on. You don't know what their struggles are. You are doing really well for yourself with where you are right now. And so let's both of us, all of us, have faith in ourselves and try to not compare ourselves to others, but just to notice in ourselves the progress that we have made and the growth that we have had, and comparing ourselves to where we were in the past and how far we've come is a good thing. And one of you said, oh, imagine 6,000 people cheering for you, how amazing would that be? And so I decided that inspired me. I had done this once before, I think back when I first got to 1,000 subscribers, but I was looking online and trying to find, like, what's a venue, or what are some venues that hold 6,000 people, so I could get, like, a visual perspective of it. And when I searched for that, like, what's a venue that holds 6,000 people, the first thing that came up was Radio City Music Hall in New York City. And I was like, sweet. So I was looking at pictures, to remind myself of the interior of Radio City, and I was like, okay. And actually, because I'm well over 6,000 now, my subscribers would fill and overflow Radio City Music Hall, so I can consider myself a rockette at this point. Like, I have reached that level of stardom. So that just, made me smile. And of course, subscribers, you can have a ton of subscribers, and that doesn't mean that, you actually get that many views, I think there are a lot of people out there who must be subscribed to like 1 million channels that they never watch, because, that is always the case. If you look at channels, I mean, they're never getting as many views as they have subscribers, but, that's just the way it goes. But one thing that I am really proud of on my channel is I feel like I have a really high ratio of comments to views. And I never want to put pressure on any of you to comment, because I know for me sometimes with ASMR, especially. Like, sometimes I just want to watch an ASMR video and zone out and zonk out and go to sleep or rest or turn my brain off. And I just don't want to, I don't have the brain power. I don't want to expend the energy to make a comment, even if I really, really, really love the video, So I understand that. And I never want you to feel bad if you don't comment. I never want you to feel pressured to do that. You just being there and your energy and watching the video and, liking it if you want to. That's a huge, huge help to me and my channel. But I do feel like, having said that, because that I love the conversation and the interactions that we do have, that for the amount of views I typically have, a lot of you engage with me about the content. I do have a good many comments, a good ratio, a high ratio. I guess, see, this is what happens with unedited ASMR. I will slow down. If I can't find my words, then that's okay. I can just keep trying. I feel like I have a good, maybe above average comment to view ratio. And that, makes me happy because I love the interactions and the comments that go back and forth between all of us. And actually, speaking of slowing down, reminds me that I wanted to mention here in an unedited video, so that I won't chicken out and not talk about it. I wanted to remind all of you about the channel membership that I now have here on this channel. So again, just like no pressure to comment, I want you all to know that I want you to feel zero pressure to ever have to spend money on this channel, and I don't have any expectation of people to join as members, but it is something that I started offering about 6 months ago, and I just want to mention it from time to time to make sure that you all are aware of it. And that's something that I'm trying to work on, is to not feel any kind of shame or feel awkward about mentioning to you all the offerings that I have for you. Like, I know that not everybody can do that sort of thing. I mean, I certainly cannot support all of the creators financially that I would like to support, but I think it's okay for me to mention it from time to time, and I don't have to feel like, oh, don't be promoting yourself, Devan, don't be pushing stuff on people. Like, that's just another one of those negative voices, It's fine for me to talk about what I have to offer, and the members only video that I did for March, which is now posted, was an extra slow, extra gentle video of close whispers and hand movements that are extra slow. Because that's what some channel members had suggested, and it's a small group of channel members right now. So I really appreciate all of you who are channel members who are watching, and it's fun to get their input and do that extra little video each month. So just to let you know about the offering, you can join as a channel member by clicking the join button that shows up below my videos. And if you're on the app, it's so weird. I don't know why YouTube wouldn't want the join button to show up on the app, but sometimes it doesn't. So if you do want to do this, you might have to actually go into a browser in order to do it. But if you click the join button, it is $4.99 to become a quiet comfort collaborator, which is my little name for the members of this channel. And it's technically $4.99 a month, $4.99 per month. But if you want to, you could join for $4.99 for 1 month, and you could see all of the members only videos that I have published up until now, which there are now six of September, October, November, December, January, February, March, 7. There are now 7 of those videos. And so you could go on, be a member for a month, watch all of those videos, and then you can cancel anytime. So you could just do it for 1 month if you wanted to. So, I mean, YouTube probably doesn't want me to tell you that, and most people would probably say don't tell your subscribers that because you want them to stay subscribed forever. You want them to stay members forever. But I just think it's fun that I have that extra content. And so if you did want to do it just for a short time and see those exclusive videos, you could do that. And then if you do want to remain an ongoing member, you get to see a new exclusive video every month. And I try to make those longer videos. I try to make those at least like 40-minute videos. And you get to give me input about what you want to see in those videos. And you also do get early access to all of my regular videos. When I post them, people who are members get to see them at least a few hours early, and sometimes up to a day earlier, depending on what my schedule is and depending on, how much time I have and that sort of thing. But if you're a member, you do get kind of a sneak preview and early release of every single video that I do, all of the public ones for everybody. So, just wanted to put that out there. Thank you to everyone who is a channel member. Check it out if you're at all interested. And thanks for supporting me as I try something new. And, we'll see how it goes. I have decided I want to try offering memberships, for at least a year and, see how that's going, see how many people might end up being interested in it. I consider it like kind of a pilot at this point. But the cool thing is that the longer I do it, the more of that exclusive content there is. So there's more for people when they join to go back and watch. So, there's some good stuff in there. There's like a camera scratching video and a house tour I did showing a bunch of art in my house. There are some personal attention videos, some childhood stories. There's a childhood stories video. So there's some good stuff in the membership if you are ever interested in that. Okay, so that's enough little, self-advertising for me. Still have my blue nails, friends, my not very neat blue nails. You're probably seeing more of them in this video. And in other videos, I've been trying to keep them moving quickly so you don't see that they're not really that neat. But it was fun to do. I shouldn't draw attention to that. I shouldn't draw attention to, anyway, I shouldn't be drawing attention to something that I think, I didn't do that well, because it's fun and I like the little pop of color. So. Okay, let's see. What else did I put on my little list? I think I'll put this down and pick up this now. I'm actually, this is something I did want to talk about a little bit, is that I've actually been recording videos a little farther ahead than I usually do. So, you will have seen, by the time this comes out, probably a few videos before, you will have seen the roll for ASMR 3 that Justin and I did, which was so much fun. I think it's like the wackiest one we've done yet. It was so silly and fun and hopefully relaxing. And Justin did some lid sounds in that video. And it really reminded me how much I love lid sounds. I feel like that's an old school trigger that doesn't get as much play anymore, is lid sounds. So, I'm going to give you some lid sounds here in this video. I was also thinking something I haven't done in ages and ages and ages and ages is a this or that video, where I would be like, I have 2 containers here. I have this metal tin and I have this plastic tin. I have this candle that was can I see what the scent was? Rejuvenation, sweet orange and clove candle. Or I have this rose rejuvenating face cream, which also smells really lovely. Okay, I'm gonna have to edit that out. I just dropped the metal tin and it made a really loud banging noise on the table. Okay, so that's one edit. One edit that I will have to make to this. Forgive me. There's usually like one thing that, you know, I just don't, I mean, being unedited is one thing, but I don't want to hurt your ears, so sometimes it has to be done. But which would you prefer? Would you prefer this container with the bee on it that's orange, or would you prefer this container of rose green? This or that? Let me know in 3, 2, 1, boom. That's a very old theme that also used to be trendy in ASMR, like lid sounds, that I feel like doesn't get much play anymore, and I used to do a ton of those. So maybe that will be one of the next, gotta be careful here, don't want these loud sounds. So maybe that will be the next one I do, is a this or that, is a this or that. But that roll for ASMR video with Justin was so fun. It was so fun. I love using the D&D dice to pick our triggers. Such a good time. And I actually went to a co-working time at our library. Our library has started having, it was actually my idea. I actually suggested it at the library and they actually started doing it, which is great. They've started having specific times for co-working where people can come in and be in a group and work on whatever projects they might be working on at the library. So I went to that the other day and took my laptop and I edited that video that Justin and I had done, the roll for ASMR, and I was chuckling to myself so much while I was doing it that I told a couple of the other people, I'm like, hey, you know, hopefully I'm not disturbing you with my being smiley and silly over here, and actually told someone about like what it was. One of my friends at the library who knows about ASMR and knows that I do it and, you know, understands what it is and also loves D&D, and so they thought that idea was really cool. So also, speaking of D&D, this goes back actually to what we were talking about earlier about, like, you know, some of my, you know, things I feel good about my channel about, and then things that do kind of discourage me sometimes. I'm talking about comments. You know, every once in a while, there's the train again. There's been a lot of trains today. Can you even hear the train when I stop for that? Hopefully you can hear it. Hopefully you can hear it. I think there's also a dog barking. Every once in a while, I will publish a video where I'll end up feeling a little disappointed that it didn't get more comments. I never really worry about views because the views fluctuate so much. I mean, my videos with Justin get a ton of views, but my other regular videos, you know, it really fluctuates. But it always makes me feel good. You know, I usually get a handful of comments on most videos. But the last time I did a D&D ramble video talking about what was going on in our campaign, it was a long one. It was like an hour long, talking you to sleep kind of ramble. And I didn't really get any comments on it. I got one comment on it right when I published it, and then another one later said like 2 comments. And usually with my D&D videos, I've had people kind of chiming in and talking to me about their D&D campaigns, and, you know, I love nerding out with people like that. And for whatever reason, this video, you know, it got less views, and it didn't get as much interaction. So, in the spirit of, I have this one friend who's always telling me that I should ask for what I need more often. So, in that spirit, if you happen to see this and you are a D&D person, or even if you're not, if you're, you know, even remotely interested in that sort of thing, or in just, you know, checking out another ramble of mine if you haven't watched it, I will put a link to that video in the description, and I would love it if you are a D&D person, if you would check out that video and maybe give me a comment about what you're doing in your D&D campaign, or any questions that you have for me about our campaign, or something like that, because I was really excited about that video. I put a lot of energy into it, and it made me realize, like, the numbers don't really matter so much to me. it's really the interaction with all of you that matters to me. And again, I don't want to pressure you to comment because, hey, what I told myself is maybe a lot of people just watched that video and because it was long, they were just asleep by the end and so they didn't comment. And that's what I'm always looking for anyway. So it's this paradox with ASMR, you know. You put a lot of work into this content, but then you want people to fall asleep in the middle of it. So that's definitely good for the ego, I think. You know, it's like you can't have the normal standards of whether something is like good or not, you know, because this is something where you want people to nod off in the middle of it, which you don't want for a lot of other creative things, you know, that you might be putting out into the world. So, anyway. Okay. Tippity tappity, let's see. Is there anything else that I wanted to... Oh, we did celebrate the Equinox recently. The spring equinox. So it is officially spring. Even here where I live, in the icy northern tundras, spring is coming. And Justin and I did some really nice rituals on the equinox. We had made a spell jar on the winter solstice where we wrote some intentions on slips of paper and put them in a mason jar, and we put a crystal and some herbs and a little image of a rune and some other things in this little jar, and then put a candle on top of it. And throughout the season between the solstice and now, periodically we would light the candle, and you know, when we were meditating, or we would just have a little reflection time with the candle to try to cultivate those intentions. And then on the equinox, we decided to disassemble that spell jar, and we took out the intentions that we had written, and I had said to Justin, okay, we can like burn these without looking at them if we want, or we could read them aloud, you know, and see. So we decided to read them aloud and see how we had done with them. We hadn't read them to each other when we made them. We had just kept them to ourselves when we put them in the spell jar. But it was actually really good to read those intentions and revisit them and see places that we've both made some progress. And one of Justin's intentions was that he wanted to spend more time drawing because, you know, he is an artist at heart. He was an art major, and, you know, we, long ago and far away in another lifetime, we had a webcomic for a short period of time, and, you know, Justin is a really good cartoonist and artist and is good at drawing and has a lot of artistic ability. And he hasn't been doing as much of that as of late. You know, art was really important to him in his recovery after his psychosis and manic episode. Art really was one of the things that brought him back to himself. And so he's wanting to, you know, get back to that and make space for that in his life. So we've started this cool ritual just this past week where every evening we're taking, at some point, kind of like after dinner, after the dishes are done, but before we get into anything else for the evening, where we're taking 10 minutes and setting a timer. And for those 10 minutes, Justin draws in a sketchbook. And I was like, well, what could I do for those 10 minutes? And since I'm always wanting to take time for writing, I write for those 10 minutes. But specifically, I write like some flash fiction, because most of the writing I do, you know, is kind of like personal writing, personal essays, poetry, that kind of stuff. And I want to stretch myself to try to write more fiction. So what we've been doing is Justin, every time we do this, gives me a little prompt that he makes up off the top of his head. I've mostly, so far, I've been saying, like, okay, let's do it as fantasy writing, because I enjoy fantasy, and, you know, I feel like that would be a fun thing to kind of, you know, dip my toe into to see if I could write some fantasy. And Justin is so creative. He just gives me the best prompts. Like one night it was like, you're a farmer and you have horses, and one morning you go down to the barn and one of your horses has turned into a unicorn. It's like, go. And I set the timer for 10 minutes, and I ended up writing this really short little thing about how this unicorn was actually the young girl on the farm. The unicorn was her grandfather. It was like the spirit of her grandfather who had come to talk to her and, like, I don't know, probably give her a mission, but I didn't get that far. And then last night Justin said, you're taking a walk in the woods and you come upon a waterfall, but the water is flowing upwards in the waterfall instead of downwards. Go, write about that. And so I ended up writing about that and describing the waterfall. And then this little character came to me that was kind of like a gnome, but who had fuzzy ears and a fuzzy tail like a squirrel, who was hanging out by the waterfall and said that they were there waiting for this character, whoever it was, who had come upon the waterfall. So what I think this is going to do for me is it's like I'm writing all these little short snippets of things, and then I can decide which ones of those snippets I think are most interesting and then go back and develop them more. And like, again, this isn't, I'm not doing this from, I'm gonna pick up another container. I'm not doing this from a place of being like, I'm going to turn this into a novel, or even into a short story, or into anything in particular that I'm gonna try to publish or share in any way. It's just for me to practice. You know, that was my word of the year for 2026 is practice, to get myself into practices and to practice doing things that I enjoy. So anyway, Justin and I have been having a blast with that. And so I would just encourage you, if there's something you're interested in doing more of or learning more about, try to see if you can do it for 10 minutes a day. Literally set a timer, do it for 10 minutes and see what happens. And already there's been a couple times where I was like, oh, I don't know if I feel like doing this, but we kind of forced ourselves to do it, and I'm always happy after we do it. And that kind of came to me from the fact that Justin has been doing Duolingo for a long time. He's done Finnish on Duolingo. Now he's gone back to doing Spanish, which he does, you know, speaks some Spanish. He took Spanish classes in high school and college and is, you know, not like fully fluent, but fluent-ish. And he's gone back to work on that more. And so in the winter, I started doing Duolingo Spanish, which I have a little tiny bit of background in Spanish, but not much. So that's been really fun. And we both just noticed that we really got into a habit of spending 10 minutes a day on Duolingo in the winter when we didn't have a lot else to do. So, that was a good thing. But it just showed me, you really can make a lot of progress on something in just a few minutes a day when you do it consistently. And, that it wasn't that big of a commitment. And it was just something that we got into, fell into a part of our daily routines that we enjoyed. So we're trying to build more things into that daily routine, do some habit stacking, as it were. I guess that's what, they call it. Is that part of the, efficiency philosophy. But so anyway, that's been fun. And recently, I actually also, I'm now sometimes doing Spanish, and sometimes I'm doing chess. I just started doing chess on Duolingo because I have never played chess, and I don't really have a desire to become a great chess player, but I would like to understand more how the game works, and I just have, because it's just such a cultural thing, it's in so many different things in our culture and in different, stories and media, and so I just want to understand chess more. So I've been doing chess on Duolingo, and it's really fun. I've been enjoying it. So I'm in a phase right now of wanting to learn about new things and broaden my horizons. I've been, been learning more about tarot, which is really cool. I did that video recently of a caring friend role play where I did some tarot with you, and I've been having fun learning more about the meanings of the cards and kind of coming up with my own interpretations as well, and using that for writing prompts and for journaling prompts and idea creation and that kind of stuff. Okay, is the wind picking up a little bit? Okay, let's see. Equinox. Is there anything else? Yeah, so I guess the one other thing I wanted to tell you, I will pick up. I brought this little box. It slides open and closed. drops. They're little homeopathic lozenges to help you sleep, which I used for a time, and they did help me, but with things like that, things that are supposed to help you sleep, I find that they usually will, like, work for me and help a little bit for a little while, but then they kind of stop working, so I've taken a break from using these, but maybe I will use them in the future. Obviously very gentle, but they're nice, and I think they did help a little bit. You can hear that the door is kind of opening and closing because of the breeze coming in and out, but unedited. I did want to tell you, I've been sharing a little bit about my mom's health journey, and she had some things going on in the fall, and she's doing well. She has had some ongoing things related to her heart that she has been dealing with and seeing different doctors, and we've just been taking things one step at a time with a lot of faith and a lot of putting our trust in God to take care of her and to help us see the right path for moving forward. And she's doing really well, and she is going to have a surgery in May as kind of a next step of what's happening with her. It's not a super major surgery, but it's a procedure that should help with what she has going on. And so Justin and I will be going to stay with her and my dad for a couple of weeks in May, to be there when she has that surgery and to be there to help with her recovery and all of that. So that's the reason that right now, I am trying to film videos ahead and kind of have a buffer of videos so that I'll still be able to publish something during that 2 weeks. I usually publish 2 videos a week. I might not publish 2 videos each week of those weeks that we're gone, but hopefully maybe I can publish, 1 video each of those weeks. Or I may just take those weeks, completely off. We'll see how it goes. But I do like, I love keeping the flow going of my creativity on this channel, because that's something that no matter what is going on in my life, I feel like this channel is really an anchor for me, and my creativity and my expression here really is something that helps me stay grounded and helps me feel like I have consistency, even in the midst of different things going on. So, just to let you know, because a lot of you have expressed really kind wishes for my mom, just so you know that she is doing okay. We are moving ahead one step at a time, and that we will be getting to see them in May, and that'll be nice to have a visit with them, and I'm glad we'll be able to be there to support them. And so, talking about my recording schedule and recording things ahead of time a little bit, two things, and you're probably asleep by this time, so I should have said these things at the beginning of the video. That's why I never planned well for these things, but I'll mention these things again. At some point before I actually, we get into them. But 2 goals that I have for April, 2 goals, one specifically for April and then one kind of ongoing, is that sometime in April, I am going to go live with you. Yes, I have always wanted to try that. I am going to do a YouTube live. So I, of course, will let you know. I'll do some posts about it and maybe try to let you know ahead of time in a video, if possible, that I'm going to be going live. And I'm sure the first time I do it, I'm sure I will mess it up and it'll be chaotic and it'll probably be sideways or upside down or something like that, I'm sure. But I'm going to let go of perfectionism and just do my best with it. I may do a vertical live first. They have that as an option now, that you just do it on your phone, and that seems a little more straightforward maybe than doing a traditional live, especially because I use my phone anyway. If I do a traditional live and I'm filming on my phone, then I think I would have to, have my computer set up to see the comments, to see the chat and stuff like that. So who knows? And I'm really bad, even when I'm taking a class or something like that, I'm really bad at doing something and also looking at a chat. So I But I just really want to try that because I think it would be fun. I think it would be a fun new way to interact with you. So in April, I'm going to attempt to do a live. And I also want to challenge myself in April and throughout the spring and summer season to do more role plays. Because I feel like doing role plays, it's something that challenges me and pushes me outside my comfort zone. And when we did that last role for ASMR, when Justin and I did that together, and we ended up pulling, I think, like pretty much all role plays. I mean, Justin had the wrong props, lying to you one, which is sort of a role play, but I ended up drawing hair salon and cranial nerve exam, and having to do those on the fly, like without knowing ahead of time, was actually really fun. And it made me realize that like taking on a character is something that I really enjoy. So to me, this is my own terminology. I feel like there's two categories of role play. I feel like there's like soft role plays, which is like a cranial nerve exam or a hair salon or something like that, where I am taking on a specific character, like I'm the doctor, or like my hypnosis videos, you know, or like I'm the hypnotist or something like that. And then there's like level 2 role plays where I'm actually taking on a specific character, you know, like a character that exists, a fictional character from a book or a movie or something like that, or a fictional character or like an original character that I'm creating a little bit more, like, you know, my CC character, my Mrs. Claus character, which, you know, that video didn't get as many views and as much like attention as I would have liked either, but it was still really fun, so I'm happy I did it. And so I want to start doing some more role plays. So if you have ideas for those types of role plays, either kind of level 1 role plays, which are just sort of, you know, maybe like a particular career or a particular job role that I could be taking on in a video, or specific characters you'd like me to be. And okay, seriously, friends, I have never really watched The Office, okay? True confessions, there's just a lot of TV shows I've never really watched. But because I watch TV shows way later after they're popular, I think maybe I should watch some of The Office. Maybe I could even just find a YouTube video that's like Pam's best moments. Because so many people, literally probably like 100 people by now, have commented on this channel to tell me that I look like Pam from The Office. And so I really think at some point I should do a Pam from The Office roleplay, if I think I could pull it off. I mean, I'm like, why don't I look like someone from something that's like canon for me, you know, something that I'm really familiar with, but, you know, it would be worth doing for that purpose. So anyway, maybe at some point I'll be Pam. And then I had also written down, I want to do a librarian roleplay, because that's something I've always wanted to do and have never done. I want to do a tea shop roleplay, because I love, you know, showing you all teas and interacting with you, and doing it as an actual tea shop, like tea tasting, I think would be so fun. And then I'm definitely going to do, now that I can get back outside again, I'll wait till it gets a little warmer, I want to do a painting your face at the Ren Fair video. And I will wear my Ren Fair outfit for you and paint your face at the Ren Fair to add to my face painting. And that's kind of like a soft character that I created, you know, is the face painting character who kind of, you know, stays the same through those different face painting videos. Okay. I think those are all the little notes that I had taken of things I might mention to you. And I think this has been a nice long rambly video to begin with. So I'm sure we're probably up to an hour by now. So I hope you I hope you are asleep right now, or very, 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 very sleepy. I hope you are doing well, and I hope that you enjoyed this little time together. I sure did. I always enjoy spending time with you. It makes me really happy. So for now, my friend, take good care of yourself, this was unedited, just, we've been having such a good hangout. But technically, since this is unedited, I'm going to follow it through to the end. I'm going to take off my headphones now. Oh, they are a little creaky. I can't wear earrings when I wear those headphones because they smush my ears too much. So, and again, my fun cherry pajama top. I really like this. It's cozy. So, okay, I'm gonna get up right now and try not to be too creaky. Oh, and of course I just bumped into the desk. I'll edit that out if it was too loud. It's always my goal is to try to get around the corner of my desk here without bumping into anything. Coming back around to the camera. Yeah, 1 hour, 1 minute, and a few